Lead story for Thursday, May 29th. Google has expanded its Gemini AI in Drive to summarize videos, offering time-saving insights like action items and key updates from footage. With captions enabled, users can interact via chatbot, to extract information without watching the video. Additionally, a new engagement analysis feature shows video views in Drive's details panel. I want to welcome you to episode 1822. I'm your host, Todd Cochran. Of course, this story is leading a whole bunch of other Gemini announcements last week that, quite frankly, I was not around for. Working in London, I really missed all of the big announcements last week, so it's one of those situations where I'm just kind of catching up on all the announcements. This one's a little weird, that it's not about what's in YouTube, but it's what's in your Drive, the videos that are in your Drive, and how many people view them that are in your Google Drive. I know, like, from the company standpoint, when we put videos in Google Drive, they're there really for either, they're not being, it's just a backup, and it's not something that we go view videos in Google Drive. So I don't fully understand the significance of this. If someone else uses their Google Drive, they share these documents with other companies or these videos with other companies. I don't know, but it is just a little bit odd in my regard. So that's leading today. But hey, I want to welcome you again to episode 1822. And of course, our shout out to our incredible sponsor at GoDaddy. Score exclusive deals and discounts at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Again, to all of our listeners, you're the heartbeat of this show. If you want to support GNC, head to geeknewscentral.com/insider and become a GNC insider. We are lit and live. Don't just listen, experience the show by grabbing a modern podcast app at podcastapps.com. Of course, check out the full Geek News Central universe at geeknewscentral.com, where you find all of our partner shows, tons of new content as well. And stay in the loop and subscribe to the podcast via your favorite podcast app. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. And again, that will get you all kinds of insider scoops by just coming to the website. You can join the conversation at geeknews.chat. Of course, that's a great way to connect. And you can email me directly, geeknews@gmail.com. You can hit me up on X @geeknews. And, of course, you can even catch me on Facebook. It's good to be back in the studio here. And before we get into the GoDaddy announcement, I will just say a great month for GoDaddy. Again, we had a very good month. I want to appreciate all of you that supported the sponsor. Really makes a huge difference in a big way. And I'll tell you a little bit why here in a minute. But Geek News Central, Geek News, did I say? Yeah, Geek News Central listeners, we got lots of savings here at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Go over there and grab those savings. Let's start with a website or a podcast. GNC codes make it easy and affordable. Grab GoDaddy's economy hosting for just $6.99 a month. That's a full year of hosting with a free domain name, professional email, and SSL certificate. Of course, if you're interested in WordPress, which is my favorite, WordPress managed hosting is just $12.99 a month, which includes a free domain name, professional email, and an SSL certificate. And of course, if you need a domain name, you can pick one up for $11.99. GoDaddy Website Builder is available. You can get a free 30-day trial on personal business or business plus plans. And, of course, I use all of the GoDaddy products and services, and your support keeps this podcast alive. Use our codes, click and save. You're backing this independent team of creators. Share my codes or website with your friends and family, because every time a code is used, it supports Geek News Central. And, again, thank you for keeping the show all going and going strong. But, yeah, so while I was in London, I had... all of a sudden, and my mom wasn't here, and neither was my sister or son-in-law. They were off in Tennessee, and all my security cameras went down, and I couldn't connect with a whole host of IP devices here, and really didn't know what the situation was until I got back. And I've got I think I've told you guys about this before. I've got a hush box that has basically the router from Unify, and it has power conditioning and a major UPS device, a commercial one. And the first one of these I had bought from what's the name of the company? Cyber, doesn't matter. But I'd had the other unit 10 years. Replaced the battery in it at about 7 years, and then it gave up the ghost at about 10 years. So I bought another unit 5 years ago. They're quite expensive. We're talking a hunk of a UPS, and this one lasted 5 years. I had to buy a new one when I had the studio in the other location. And so I came home, and I'm kind of eyeing this thing, and it didn't immediately restart, so I had to turn the power off, turn the power on, because it's connected into a power conditioner, turn the unit on, and lo and behold, it came up, and everything's fine until today. And today, it's like, where did my Wi-Fi go? Oh, that thing's out. Turn it back on. About an hour later, click, I heard it, and off goes the Wi-Fi again. So I'm like, okay, here we are again. And of course, there's no extended warranties on these things. And the battery is DEAD, dead. I priced the replacement battery because that's essentially that's wrong. And oh my God, better just buy a brand new unit. Pretty sad. So Saturday, I have a delivery, but right now I've got everything. It's not hot wired per se, but I do have, because I've been through this before, I did have a plan, and in my head I was able to pull the UPS out, unplug everything, and because there's a power conditioning unit below, plugged all the plugs in, flipped the switch, and we're back on. But the challenge is no UPS. So if the lights blink or anything, we'll be out. So London was lovely. Had a great time in London. Got to see a whole bunch of stuff over really 2 days of, I think, 15 to 20,000 steps a day. But this has been a killer week. Monday was a holiday, obviously, and then I've crammed literally 2 weeks worth of work into 3 days or so here, and I'm just at this point kind of a walking zombie to a certain effect. But wanted to get the show out for you, but I want to catch up on what's going on. Thanks everyone for being here. If you're watching live, you're catching the show later, that's great. It's okay. But back in the studio here, feels natural, minus the we'll pray that the power doesn't surge, which it usually doesn't. When it goes out, it goes out. But and there was enough of a variation, something going on to trip it. So the first article up after the opening story today is billions of cookies up for grabs as expert warn over security. And law enforcement crackdowns are gathering pace, but apparently there's 93.7 billion cookies available for criminals to buy online, and of those, between 7 to 9% are active, according to NordVPN's breakdown of stolen cookies by country. Cookies may seem harmless, but in the wrong hands, their digital keys to our most private information. What was designed to enhance convenience is now growing vulnerability exploited by criminals worldwide. So I don't know, how do they get these stolen cookies? That's the situation I don't fully get. Is it because they've hacked computers, got in middleman? How they've really done this? I'm not aware of how they're getting the cookies off computers. That is a curiosity to me. So if one of you may know this answer, I'd love to hear from you. feel free to drop an email, geeknews at gmail.com, of course. The U.S. is slated to block China's access to essential semiconductor design software. The administration is targeting electronic design automation tools, intensifying tech competition. So I'm not exactly sure what software exactly, but the government informed the electronic design automation industry about the new export controls on EDA software to China. So Siemens has supported customers China for more than 150 years, continue to work with globally to mitigate the impact of the restrictions. But this is the latest chapter in a tech war here. So the financial implications are substantial. Synopsys and Cadence earn annual revenue about 16 and 12% from their China business. So while Cadence being U.S.-based companies and Siemens contribute more 90% share of EDA tools globally, this move is again tighten things up. But this reflects a broader strategic recalibration. The U.S. has shifted its strategy, now seeing China's push for tech self-sufficiency, especially in AI and semiconductors. So, because that's all, the AI piece is all a national security threat. But since 2020, the CHIPS Act's coordinated export controls with allies in Japan and Netherlands have strengthened the U.S. resolve. So now it's the actual software itself that is being slowed down. Yep, Red Bull. Just had to have one tonight. I know they're bad for me. Amazon and the New York Times have entered into AI-related license agreement. This deal is going to allow AI training on the outlet's content and bring New York Times to ALEXA. I don't even use. Do you guys use that device anymore? I mean, I rarely. I might ask, what's the temperature? But usually I've got a little, weather station outside. I just look at the display on that. But the New York Times shared agreement will bring new features for customers like accessing summaries, excerpts of Times content. It'll also allow Amazon to train its AI models on the New York Times content. So again, Amazon is done the licensing deal. Meanwhile, I think I don't remember if OpenAI has a licensing deal or not. But I guess this shouldn't be surprising at all. Senators are probing whether RealPage pushed state AI law ban. Now, I'm not familiar with RealPage. I guess if you're a realtor or a landlord, you'll know about this. But the more I look at this, it kind of made me look a little deeper. It appears this company is, in my opinion, not really acting in the best interest of people trying to rent apartments and so forth. But the software companies accused of colluding with landlords to raise rents. They lobbied for a proposed ban on states regulating AI for the next decade, which is curious. In a letter to RealPage CEO Dana Jones, 5 Democratic senators asked for more information about the company's potential involvement in provision attacked to the Republicans' budget reconciliation bill, which bars state laws impact AI or automated decisions for 10 years. The senators argue the provision could scuttle attempts to stop RealPage from feeding sensitive information from groups of landlords into a algorithm used to recommend non-competitive rental pricing. RealPage has apparently been responsible for rising rent prices across the U.S. The DOJ and 8 states sued the company last year, claiming it deprives renters of the benefits of competition on apartment leasing terms. So collusion in renting, driving renting prices up. So they want more information on this. RealPage increased its lobbying spending, listen to this, to $4.8 million in 2020 and $9 million in 2024. So they're spending a huge amount of money on this ongoing situation where they're paying for lobbyists. This is something I'm sure everyone's going to go buy. Hermes, Now, of course, you guys heard about the big scandal about Hermes and other expensive bag companies. When the tariffs hit, they were kind of outed in that these Hermes bags, and the people are paying tens of thousands of dollars for stuff that is probably cost $200 or $300 to put together, was largely being done in China and not where the bag originates. I think is in Italy. So I wonder if these headsets, these wireless headphones that they're launching, I wonder if these premium headphones are largely constructed in China as well, and they just slapped a Hermes logo on it once it gets to the United States. So listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. You can have a pair of these for the same price as 33 pairs of Sony XM6 headsets. There's no specs to this thing. You don't know if it's going to sound doggy or not. But yes, you can have one of these for $15,000. $15,000 for Hermes headphones. Really? 15th, you have more. If you're going to go, any of you that listen to this show, and I know there's no one listening to the show that's going to do this, but if you do, if you can afford a pair of these $15,000 Hermes headphones, please contribute $1,000 to the show to help me with my hardware failure. It's about actually $760 is the price of that replacement piece of gear. So yeah, if you can afford the 15 grand, go out there and make a one-time donation to the show and become a super insider immediately. 15,000. People have lost their minds. Criminals are, of course, using AI to create fake documents to trick businesses. And this is just going on like crazy. The emails, the text. We've doubled down. We're telling the team, be very, very careful on all emails. If you don't know who it's from, now what they're doing is they have found my calendar link, and I'm being because my calendar links are, and I don't publicly put them out. I only share them in email, but somehow my calendar links have gotten out on Calendly, and now all of a sudden, and I got to do something about it next week. All of a sudden now I'm getting appointments made, and I'm looking at the names of the people. I have no idea who they are. There's no email correspondence. I asked the rest of the team, did anyone refer this person? And we're all getting it. The support team's getting it. The marketing team's getting. So we're going to have to lock down our calendars and have some sort of password or something, expiring link or something. It just makes it a more pain. But so the news cycle has been just full of cases of AI being used to fake crucial documents. And these only scratch the surface. AI has given fraudsters the tools to fabricate invoices, tax forms, investment contracts, risk assessments, financial audits. One of the vendors that we work with has kind of a weird company name, and Barry every month is like, is this a real invoice? And I'm like, yeah, it is. And he said, why did they name their company like that? And it sounds like I guess the better way to say it sounds like a magic company is giving us a billing. And that's not the type of service they provide us. And they're not, providing magic items to the company. What they're doing for us is quite magic. So maybe that's why they named their company the way it is. But, also they're doing DMV text now, basically saying, hey, I'm your DMV. And if you don't pay, we're going to cancel your license. This is all fake. All fake. So just be careful. Now, your license is not at risk. It's just the texting that you're getting. So, just pay attention out there. This stuff is just taking to a whole new level. Now, on the other hand, if you have an ASUS router There's a big ASUS router hack that's out there, and it's created a major botnet planting damaging malware. So hackers are brute forcing older ASUS routers. Now let me see if I can find the models. They don't list the models. I'm looking here. But if you have an older ASUS router, this is a really heavy severity score. There is a link in the show notes to this. But please make sure you're updating your firmware. Now, if there's no more updates to your router, and your router is more than 5 years old, and it's an ASUS, I'm just assuming you could be affected here. The vulnerability was first published in the National Vulnerability Database a long time ago, September 2023. And ASUS released firmware to update to address it, but people are not doing an update, so they're being hacked. So just be aware of this, okay? Get your firmware updated. The Verge, I'm just about done with some of these sites. Verge is one. You'll look here on the Verge's site. They got this $4 a month. They want you to contribute $4 a month to their site. But we had a second article from The Verge today in the show prep, and that one did a half screen. So, I think at some point I'm just going to have to give up. I understand they want money. Geek News Central's been running for years with a team of writers, and we have content coming out all the time. Not at the level that The Verge does, but at $4 a month, and Bloomberg wants $5 a month, and all these sites want. The next thing I know, I'm paying $100 or $200 a month for website access, and it's just a little ridiculous. I have it allowed so that they can run ads on the site. I have a little pull down here that basically says that I have it paused. You're allowing ads on the site. I do that for every site that we talk about here in the show. I always allow the ads to play. I don't block the ads. But this is a story about a budget buzzer, and it's called Blink. And I know a lot of you have those doorbells, doorbells. I don't here. I just have security cameras every which way. And, of course, if the internet stays on, with my UPS doesn't go bad. But anyway, $70 a year, 2-year battery life, which is pretty impressive. So Amazon's budget security company Blink. So I guess this is an Amazon company. So any of you got any of that gear, let me know how it works. I'm still a big fan of Wise. There's a good article from PC World talking about Spectrum's free streaming services aren't worth the cost of cable. And that reminds me, let me talk about this first. They did a analysis of this, and the savings were minimal. So if you are still paying for a streaming service, you're just throwing money away at this point. And to me, it surprises me because I know that they had the ability for you, as if you're using cable and paying for a cable bill, to have access to Disney, VIX, Max, Peacock, AMC, and one other, Warner Brothers, I guess. And but it's not really worth what they're saying it's worth. So anyway, link is up in the show notes. I have been made aware of an IPTV service that's out there. If any of you are interested in IPTV, let me know. Drop me an email. Let me know which show episode you heard it on, and I'll connect. Insiders preferred will get access to that information, but if you're interested in IPTV, let me know. U.S. deny visas to foreign officials. It says basically anyone that's censoring via social media. So, announcement by the State Department, Secretary Mark Rubio said free speech is among the most cherished rights enjoyed by Americans, and complained that governments have taken flagrant censorship action against some U.S. tech companies, citizens, and residents when they have no authority to do so. So they're announcing a new visa restriction policy that will apply to foreign nationals who are responsible for censorship of protected expression in the United States. It's unacceptable for foreign officials to issue or threaten arrest warrants on U.S. citizens or U.S. residents for social media posts on American platforms while physically present on U.S. soil. Well, how are you going to block the entire Chinese government? Because there's a rule that if you talk bad about China and you go to Hong Kong, you could very well be arrested. It is similarly unacceptable for foreign officials to demand that American tech platforms adopt global content moderation policies or engage in censorship activities that reaches beyond their authority and into the United States. So is this pointing a finger at the UK? Is this pointing a finger at the EU? The announcement did not specify any individual incident or pointing a finger at any particular nation, but there was much controversy, of course, in the UK last year when the social media sites were accused of spreading misinformation in relation to the fatal stabbing in the town of Southport. It was reported that MPs in British Parliament were to summon ex-owner Elon Musk to testify about his platform's role in the riots as part of an investigation into whether the business models of big tech companies encourage the spread of content. However, X has also had run-ins with the EU. We know that. So again, at the heart of the issue is U.S. social media firms say legislation such as DSA amounts to censorship of their platform. However, while they're U.S.-based operations, their content is viewed by millions of people in regions in the UK, Ireland, and everywhere else. In response to the criticism, DSA and the EC Commissioner for Technological Sovereignty said that more content is removed by American social media sites themselves using their own rules. Well, they have their own right to do that. So we will see what happens with this. This is so here's the question. It's very simple. The UK, the EU could say TikTok or X or Facebook or whatever is no longer allowed to operate in the country. What would you think about that? Because that's what it could come to, right? If U.S. companies, U.S.-based owned companies, and of course, if you have a division in those countries, you probably are not as in the clear as others. But what happens next when we say, no, we're not changing, ban us. I don't know if those platforms want that or not. Obviously not. But that's the option, I guess, right? Tesla says it's been testing driverless Model Ys in Austin for several days. And that's a month ahead of schedule, said Elon. The Tesla robotaxi service has begun testing in advance of its promised June launch. So there's going to be 10 to 20 Model Ys running around Austin. So nice city, depending on where you live. The Hewlett-Packard stock has plunged as tariffs slammed the company. They basically saying that they had that the tariffs had just wreaked havoc, stuff that they couldn't get away from. Second quarter revenue rose 3.3 to 13.22 billion, but profit fell 17% to $500 million compared to the same period last year. And basically, it's about the tariffs. They've had to, a little bit of duty on stuff coming out of China, and they are trying to move some of their manufacturing back to the U.S. Meta, and who's using the Meta AI? Meta AI already has 1 billion active users. Are you one of those? Are you one of those active users that used it accidentally or otherwise? I don't remember specifically using an AI tool on Meta. Zuckerberg said that these 1 billion monthly active users across all its apps. He also said during the shareholder meeting that the company will be focused on deepening experience and making Meta AI the leading personal AI with an emphasis on personalization voice conversations and entertainment this year. So I guess people are using AI in Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. So I don't know. I have not purposely used AI, and it's trying to force me to. And sometimes you do search and it says this is the AI, and the search results aren't even better than it used to be on Facebook. LexisNexis Risk Solutions, a data broker that collects and uses consumer personal data to help its paying corporate customers detect possible risk and fraud, has disclosed a data breach affecting 364,000 people. The company said in a filing with Maine's Attorney General that the breach dating back to December of 24 allowed a hacker to obtain consumer sensitive personal data from a third-party platform used by the company for software development. So, an unknown hacker accessed the company's GitHub account. The stolen data varies, but includes names, dates of birth, phone numbers, postal and email address, social security. Why is this stuff in these systems not encrypted? Why are we still having social security numbers that are not encrypted? Everyone's social security number has been exposed like times 10 or 20. There's no excuse for this now, that those numbers are not hashed. Apparently, iOS 19 is not coming this fall because Apple's going to call it something else. Apple's going to unveil the latest version of the iPhone at WWDC. The tech giant is going to shake up the naming system with the next version to be called iOS 26, according to Bloomberg. Why is that? Switching to a system that identifies iOS by year describes it as the most sweeping change yet to its operating system names. Woo! Change it from 19 to 26 because of the year? Well, Apple devices expect to unveil the iPad OS 26, Mac OS 26, Watch OS 26, TV OS 26, and Vision OS 26 at its WWDC 2025 event. Why isn't everything going to call 2025 and not 2026? Who knows? NASA's going to shut down the Spot Station site. So if you've been using Spot the Station website, and I've done a few times over the years, they're pulling the plug on it. No specific, was there a reason given? Let me see. Is it budget? Yeah, there's other apps. Yeah, but they're going to pull that site down. So if you want to track the International Space Station, lots of ways to do that. Links are in the article. Of course, SpaceX continues. Of course, I did get to watch the Ship 9 launch. I was in a board meeting at the time on Tuesday, so I was kind of watching out of the corner of my eye at the same time as the launch, and it was quite exciting, as usual. And they're getting closer, but boy, oh boy, they just can't get it completely right. Of course, they purposely brought the first stage in at a very, very high angle of attack, and was testing it, and then it didn't survive. But we know the first stage made it to engine shutoff, but then it lost attitude control, and that was some freaky. That was almost psychedelic. It was a mixture of there's some sort of, it looked like a fire going on and plasma and this thing spinning. I mean, it would almost make you sick to the stomach if you watched it continuously. But we'll see how long before they go with launch 10. But they did put 27 Starlinks up yesterday, but they're doing about 2 or 3 of those a week now. So that's not something that's totally crazy. Hey, Windows 11 is going to get some much needed HDR improvements, and the latest update is available to users right now. And once installed, you can now toggle the ability to stream HDR video options even when HDR is disabled in Windows, allowing you to view HDR content from apps like Netflix or websites like YouTube without having to enable HDR throughout Windows. So you can do it kind of selectively. And they do have a keyboard shortcut, Windows key Alt-B, to enable it in games and so forth. So, anyway, definitely check that out. Did you guys hear me? I just about yawned. I need a little more go-go juice here. God, it's so good, but so bad for you. I thought about the way this week is going. I was thinking about pouring a bourbon for the show tonight, but I'm thinking it's probably not a good idea. We'll save it for the editing process. For some of you, you're gonna be happy. Elon has stepped away from the White House, aka Dodge. His time is up. His official role within the U.S. government is coming to an end, and the at Dodge mission is going to continue by others. And so we'll see how much they are able to say. But the problem is, here's what I've heard. And I just saw it today. Everyone was complaining that the current budget didn't cut any of that money that they saved. And it's because they were trying to get this thing through, that whatever they're calling that big, beautiful bill. And big indeed, with lots of money being spent and more deficits. So, no one's excluded from this party here. Although I heard today that they're going to do a supplemental bill that will strip the spending from the bill they just passed, which is absolutely insane. Why didn't they take it out to begin with? So they have a bill with it all in. Now they're going to have another bill to take it all out. It just, come on. I don't understand. I really don't. But anyway, Elon's done. He had a 130-day role. Basically, he was a special government employee. So he had to leave before the end of the month. Although Musk did some criticizing of the bill, saying the landmark tax legislation would increase the federal deficit and undermine his cost-cutting efforts at Doge. So, they want to try to slash like 1 to 2 billion, a trillion, excuse me. But currently the website they're only up to like 200 or 300 billion that they've been able to save, which is still a lot of money. And some of it was being spent kind of eye-opening ways. So we'll see what progresses. DJI's first robot vacuum is edging closer to launch, according to a new leak, and it could clean up in the premium RoboVac space. Now, I didn't mention it, or did I? My kitty cat passed away while I was gone. And we knew he wasn't doing well. He had been stomach bloated. He'd been skinny. He wasn't eating real well, and something happened. He was staying here in the house, and my mom checked on him, and he wasn't doing well. He couldn't hardly walk, and so sadly we had to put him, or she had him put down, and but I have not been running my vacuum cleaner here because it always kind of got hung up around where the cat area was, where the litter box and all that stuff was. So this weekend I'm going to get it charged up and get the propellers updated and make sure it's all good to go, and we'll give it a run. We'll see what happens. If it can, there's just so many obstacles here. I'm just afraid especially if it gets around here in the studio, it's going to get back in here and just like lose its mind. So I'd love to have a vacuum that worked. Instead I run the vacuum cleaner once a week, but that's okay too, right? Adidas data breach linked to a third-party vendor. Sneakers and sportswear giant disclosed a data breach this week after hackers assessed a third-party customer service provider. And how many people does it say? No, they haven't said, but Adidas is the latest to fall victim to attack. In an interesting brief, the administration is telling SCOTUS that ISPs shouldn't be forced to boot alleged pirates. So the administration is backing cable company Cox in a battle that could determine whether ISPs are forced to disconnect users accused of piracy. Cox said ISPs shouldn't have to terminate customers based on unproven allegations of copyright infringement. It's been asked seeking a Supreme Court review. So Sony's victory in an underlying lawsuit. The court asked the U.S. Solicitor General to file a brief expressing views of the United States government. The Solicitor General filed a brief yesterday saying the Supreme Court should grant what's called, oh my God, this is some legal word, certori, C-E-R-T-O-R-A-R-I, certori, oh my God, to address the first question presented in the Cox petition. So basically, I guess that gives them relief. What does that word mean? I'm going to have to look this up. Let me copy this here. I'm too curious to let it go. We're all going to learn a new word together here. Maybe some of you. Okay, it's certiorari. A writ. It's a writ or order by which a higher court reviews a decision of a lower court. Writ of a review. That's essentially what certiorari. So the lawyers out there, that's in your language repertoire. But there's widespread termination feared if this goes through. So this is a big case for any of you that are out there that are still doing torrents and stuff like that. Apple, they lost big on this situation where you now in the U.S., app developers are updating the app so that you can buy through a link in the app on an external website. But the European Commission this week released the full text of its decision. It found, well, Palmer Luckey has built an incredible business, but in basically defense. And he was fired from Google with quite some fanfare some time ago. So Lucky's defense company, Anduril Industries, and Meta said Thursday they will together build a new line of rugged helmets, glasses, and other wearables that provide virtual reality or augmented reality experience for the military. Now, Anduril, Anduril, is a huge defense contractor. And but again, this collaboration brings together a social media giant that has long been the target of Washington scrutiny and a weapons maker that is a rising star inside the Pentagon and much hated by a lot of folks. A lot of folks don't like this company, but they've done an incredible amount of work at this. He says, I should look at this as I have succeeded. Lucky said in the interview, I have successfully persuaded not just Meta, but many others that work with the military that it's important. So, very interesting here. In a statement, Mark Zuckerberg said, Eagle Eye technology will help U.S. soldiers protect our interests at home and abroad. So, that's big too, So, Meta. Wow, this is big. This is a big one. Quite ironic as well. Ladies and even gentlemen, Victoria's Secrets has taken down their website after a security incident. Must be pretty bad. If they've taken down their website because of an ongoing security incident, that doesn't bode well at all. And the company says the message replacing the websites of Victoria's Secret and Pink stores remain open while operations are being restored. So they must have had a huge breach. Very, 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 very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back here. I'm glad to be back in the saddle here. Regular scheduled shows for the foreseeable future. We'll get back in the groove of thanking our insiders. If you want to become an insider, geeknewscentral.com/insider. Don't forget about our sponsor, GoDaddy. And again, for those of you that recommended in April, thank you so much. A great month. You're going to help pay for some of the stuff that with hardware issues here in the loft, in the studio. But thank you so much for everything. Thank you for being part of the family here. Thank you for being part of the Ohana. I'll be back with you on Monday for another edition of the Geek News Central podcast. Again, thank you to Kirk for his work. And by the way, Kirk is looking for a job. If any of you have any digital work, anything that's digital, streaming, broadcast, remote switching, anything like that at all, Kirk is looking for an employment. So he's in between jobs right now. So let me know, and I will. You can reach him directly. It's pa@geeknewscentral.com is Kirk's email address here. So don't be afraid to email him directly, or if you want me to put you in contact with him via phone number and so forth, I can do that as well. But yeah, Kirk is on the hunt for a job. So someone's got out there something digital, anything digital, or I don't know. I don't know what he's all open to, but if you've got something, let me know. I'll share it with him. Definitely remote work. He's in New Jersey, so that'll give you an idea of his geographical location. But anyway, hey everyone, thanks so much for being here. We'll see you on